you affect the, let's say the values, needs, it's also the employees understand the organizations, learn the acceptable behavior. Means within the organization has become area is acceptable values of the company are when in the social systems, there the behavioral systems are accepted by the people or not. That is the thing. So when you are moving everywhere in the journey and everywhere, when we are interacting with the peoples in the outside of the externally, I mean the social systems, there we can notice different type of behavior patterns. Yes, some of the behaviors patterns are accepted. People feel happy, and it is knowledgeable also. And some of the pattern, I mean the attitudes or patterns of the things, which are not acceptable by the social systems. Means it is not as a value of the things. People may irritate or unhappy, not interacting. So all these things are basically happening. In the culture, now we are talking about the organization culture. When you are in the working setup, you, that environment is the organizational environment. So what type of behavior are is necessary to create a good atmosphere? That is the thing. So organizational culture, therefore, it provides the employees with an identity and generates a commitment to them, to beliefs and the values of a larger themselves. Means particular any company's employee, if you see, so based on this his behavior or his value systems, you can identify, yes, he is working in this company. So that is that image as a replica, that image is also to be coming in the following the employees also. So that will happen. It is seen some of the companies employee when they are talking, his way of belief systems, knowledge, it can reflect to the society also. So it can immediately can identify, yes, this person is working in this company. So in turns, so organizational culture is very important to not only within the for the working environment, other way you have to interact with the social systems, and you have to see how best you can give to the social system also. And in turns, it is the stockholders, those who are invested in this particular company, they will feel happy. Yes, this company is good because their culture is very good. So that impressions are to be built up. Now, internal integrations. There are it is actually the major functions are there are two things. One is your internal integrations, and another is your external adaptations. So internal integration means where the different sections, different units that should be integrated. Originally, the basically it is a original culture is just like a conduit. It is a conduit throughout the varieties threaded, and day-to-day working relationships are there. The patterns and their what type of power allocations, so everything are the part of your integrations. So culture can also help the employees take the contextual decisions in the absence of written form. Some of the things are not in written or rules and policies, but at the time of decision making, it will reflect your culture. External adaptations. Culture helps the organization meet its goals and the guides dealings with the external stockholders. It can help the organization respond to customer needs or the competitor strategies. So externally, how you have to adopt some of the things which are suitable for the, which are met in our company. So meet goals of the guides in the dealing external section. Now, cultural values. Some of the company are what to say. Anita believes that business could not only earn the profit, but also the uplift the society in the long run. As I say, that it will reflect in the society also. Even the product of having unique story was the family interwoven in the organization's core values. Five core values are there in the at the WhatsApp include the activity is activating the self motivation, self esteem. Then you are promoting our the planet and you're protecting our planet against the animal testing, supporting economy, trade, and finally the defending human rights. So these all are the core area, the core values. Now uniformity in the organizational culture. Here is a dominant culture embodies the core values of the organizations, which you have listed. There are five core values. So when a specific set of functional specialists such as your accounts, engineers, human resource professionals have a common set of perceptions as horizontal subculture is formed. Now see the transmission of the organizational culture. Now when you are talking about the transmissions, the organizational members learn the pivotal values from the socialization practices, stories, their rights and the recitals and the language. So these mechanisms are detailed. Actually, you have to discuss in details what are the mechanisms. So there is transmission of the culture, how it has come, how it is moved. Basically. Now the rights and the ceremonies. Uh, this facilitates basically the transmission of people into new roles. Examples, suppose for the induction programs and your induction training program, when the employees are joining, newly joining in the organizations, there is some orientation, induction, the program that conduct, so that the employee can familiar with the systems, he can do the independent work, he can interact with the people nicely, and his growth and explore his potential basically. So that part is important. So this is the passage of the right of passage. Through this induction program, we can conduct the transmission, basically the people transmission and growth. Then integrations, right to your integrations. This create a common bond among the employees and secures their commitment to the organizations. Office parties, get together. We have seen in the party any functions, any cultural functions in the organization. The formal and informal gatherings are things. It can be a great example for integrations, so where people can interact with each other's different culture, different behavioral patterns are putting in particular one directions. Then enhancement, right? Of the enhancement. This facilities to the motivation of the employees to commit themselves to organizational values. Examples can be presentations in award ceremonies or performing the employees. This is one of the examples. So when you are presenting the award ceremony, some convocations or any programs, then at time it has enhanced the motivation of the employees. And if you give us an award to see by the others employees clapping the all, so it create another ambience systems and feelings. So, okay, I can also do a bit more and more committed to my organizations, and I can also get a good award from this organization. That type of motivations value as a then transmission of the your organizational culture. Now here actually the another part is stories and myths. Stories and are narratives based on true events that are frequently shared among the employees, because sometimes some of the persons are maybe 10 years before he has done very good job, now he has retired. So when there is discussion by the people here, that person is very good, lot of work he has done, so dedicated, is he committed to the company. So that type of stories are being just narrating by the seniors to the juniors. So it creates some of the good things. So that's with the stories. Even not only in the organizations, even in the socially also, when you are saying some stories to the children or your juniors, so it will create a boost. So okay, our culture is like this, our organization is like this. So we can also do it. We can give it more and more effort to this company to reach that particular level and sustain our company can be in the top list. So that type of gel and intuitions are created by the story and the symbols. These are another things. The another transmission, it is the mechanism. Basically, we are talking the mechanism of the transmission of the culture. How do you transmit the culture better and better? So symbol is only important in the ceremonies or in the rites, the rituals are all considered the symbols as they present a deeper value of the organizations. So symbols sometimes inner meaning and inside views are very in depth. Language. So language is also remains a very essential element of the organization culture, and it happens to be the your primary mode of communications, because everything we are by the expression of it. When you are talking about when giving the instructions or in the, any actions by decision making process, everything by the language. You are by the expression talking itself. So that is one of the very important area we can see transmission part. That is your communications. Socializations, it shapes the process by which the members learn and internalize the values and your norms of the organization. So that during the socialization process, sure, in a entrance when the initial stages, employee can or join can come and they slowly they can learn and see the company's future, past, present, and future. All these things are to will be viewed by the things. So they can know their each other. They can also where I can fit for these things. That also can be. So that through these introductions, through this by the design of their policies and rules are there. Based on this, they have to learn one by one, and training periods, everything are normally discuss about the companies, what to do, how to do it, what are the procedures. If you have any problem or troubles, what to do, what is the future of the companies, what is the pension policy or whatever it is. So slowly you are in the shape. So and you can also accustom and easily you can adopt the system of the organization. So socialization is one of the best process. So that through this way you can the path of this culture you can establish. Now the how to reinforce. Now you have to reinforce our culture. That's why you have to record some of this strategy and the structure, design of the organizations. You have to adapt in such a way so that it remains it is effective in their environment. So there are four categories of the culture are identified based on the environmental requirements and the organization's strategy spokes. That is your adaptability culture. This culture requires the your organization to be flexible, adapt to rapid changes in the environment while keeping its strategic focus as external. So adaptability culture is very important because as early as possible you have to adapt the things so that you can work easily, and that type of focus missions of the culture. That is another point. This is your mission, culture, and an employees retain the clarity about the organizations. That vision and mission are important. That should be shaped in this place, and to refine the behavior by the communicating a desired future state of the organizations. Then your another is client your culture. There is a represent a family like the organization. That's your family. The organization is just like a family. So in this culture, the focus of the organizations is internal because where the employees are create a different type of environment and it is required. So that's why there are some of the flexibility is required. Authority, flexibility, and cooperations, all these coordinations, all these parties involved. So organizations that behave as a client focused on the meeting, the employees' requirement, and the needs to install a sense of ownership and the commitment for the organization goals. Should feel that I am also a part of this family and I have to contribute and this is my duty to perform these things. So this type of feelings, ownership feelings are so important value are that is nurturing the your employees and helping them grow along with the organizations. Bureaucratic cultures. It is a topologies. The culture takes example from the organizations where they are basically the focus in internal and with a consistency orientations from a stable environment. So basically is highlighting the consistency and collaborations and conformity. So organization believes the hierarchy and the compliances and provide the stable levels of the output where the environmental is certain because it's not uncertain. While it is certain, there you can make some standards. You can have a justify of some of the levels, the belief. So that is very easy to bureaucratic cultures are very good. But while the public sector units provide the example of the bureaucratic cultures, that Kraft Foods International is in the private sector, the retains in the features of their culture. It focuses on the centralized decision making and rule orientations lead to a culture environment mismatching. So focus on the centralizations and definitely the levels will be more and the stable levels are. So this is another cultural systems by the marketing cultures. Now see the your situational factors. But different situations, what type of how does it lead to a cultural change? Now here actually we are talking about the change, cultural change. Because of these your situational factors, it is cultural changes how it has happened. So Matthew 2008 has identified some of the situational factors. So now here one by one we have to see what are the situational factors. One is a dramatic crisis. A dramatic crisis is a perceived shock that may undermine the status quo in the organization. It calls into questions and revealing the values, norms, and works processes, and allows a dialogue for different set of values to take care of the crisis. For example, there is a competitors. So competitors, what are the values or norms and work process? It is always sometimes you can compare and you can see, okay, this is the crisis area. So this is the way you have to see where the things are to be more improvement is. So based on the situational conditions, when the crisis, dramatic crises are there you have to identify what are the difference, and for that set of values, you have to take care for the crisis. You have to generate or to formulate some of the value systems, set these things, formulate these things, and put it in the actions so that you can cope up the that dramatic conditions. Like example is competitors. When the competitors are different, value systems are there. You can also compare with them where you are and what are the area to be developed more. This is the one. Then leadership turnover. That is also one of the situational conditions. When the leaderships are change required, maybe your CEO has to change, or maybe CEO has retired, or maybe has resigned. There are any reasons. So that time, the selection of leadership's CEO is very important. It plays a vital role for the sake of the organization culture. Change in leaderships may facilitate the imposition of the new values, but a new leader needs to have a alternative visions of the organization future, and the employees to share the change in cultural values. So leaders, though their vision are often, what are the visions? Often your perpetuate a dramatic change in culture as can be analysis. So the leadership is one of the point you can turn over things. The lifestyle change stage. As we know, basically there are four stages, but typically three phases are there: growth, maturity, and the decline. So initiate intent. I mean the infant conditions, or you can say the child conditions, newly birth babies. Then slowly as growing, yes, totally as some of the growth stages. Then after that is matured. Then after that finally human cycle is also like this. Human life cycles are like this. Similarly, in the organizations also, they have a life cycles. Any new organizations, maybe initial 4 5 years, yes, initial stages, you can see developing, manufacturing product, capturing the market, share market is like this. Finally, one fine day that will come the maturity, where there's a peak, I can say, that is the peak conditions where the company and operations. And finally, slowly decline when the product are already slowly to obsolete, or maybe other competitor has come due to that reasons, or maybe the supply and demand conditions are not meeting. So many reasons are there. Then slowly these are. So three phases are, as I said, the growth, maturity, and decline. Maximum change in the organizational culture happens in the growth phase. So changes are generally you have should be focused basically, and company should ready for these things. Uh, don't wait for the decline stages. Before that, the growth stage, decide take decisions that product to be continued or not, or new product to be launched or not, new project whatever it is, or parallel some other project, so many things, or otherwise you can merge or merger or acquisitions. All these things, the different phases, different stages are there. Different options are there, alternatives we can say. That has to be decided in the growth phase. So experimentation happens in the product, services, and work. Similarly, the decline presents an opportunity for the cultural changes, as it requires for the business closures, crisis management, retrenchment, etc. It is all in decline stages. There you have to see the situation based on the situations, or that's the crisis management. Maybe you have to what are the resources are reducing now. Maybe your offshore items are costly, export import systems, or maybe it will affect your exchange rates are different globally. So lot of reasons are there. Because of that, maybe you have to retrench the things to survive the company. So many things are there. So that is all the situational conditions. But the fact is, why do I go for the change? Age of the organizations, that is one of the important. Because cultural changes is likely to happen in a younger organizations. When if you want to change any cultural changes, so when the company is in a younger stage, the growth stage, that time you can have a good. But when the company is old, I mean, uh, so it may not be very much effective. So normally it is actually within the first 5 years, as I said, the first 5 years, the organizational existence are because size of the organization is also another situational factors because it is a now in the modest size organizations culture change is relatively easier because when your companies are within the control periphery or small or maybe controllable, moderate size, then you can have a cultural change is effective more and it is easy also because there are no clear channels of their communications can be visible and transfer the mechanism is also easy but it is also easier to management to reach the employees to disseminate any changes in the cultural values. So size of the organization is a matter. Then strength of the organization culture, your current cultures, the weaker and the functionals, your cultures are more amenable to change them the stronger ones. So if the weak company is weak, their culture is not robust or maybe very bad conditions. So that case is very stronger because we have to, some challenges there basically to change the situation. A strong cultural established and the organizations identity and the perceptions in the minds of the stockholders and change becomes difficult because when the your culture is established, maybe we can say the strong culture is established. So it is very difficult to change the mindset. It can be difficult. It can be you can take it as a positive or in a negative also because other way. Suppose for example, culture is good, company is fine, external, internal, everywhere is reputation, stock market is everything is good. So it may or may not be required for the changes immediate. If the proposal has come, so employees, unions may maybe give some resistance. Why they have resistance? They can have a argue. Our company is good, profitable, everything is good. Why the need for the changes? So that time, if any minor nature of changes is required strategically, then it is very difficult to convince the unions and the other employees. So there is a challenge. Other way, when the culture is deteriorated, it is not a very conditions are very below the up to the below levels, and that mindset is no culture is there. I mean, the workers are there, maybe 30 years, 40, 20 years, they are giving their duties, and they are already traditionally they are expert of this field. They are reluctant to change on it. Before that time, if company propose something, okay, my company has to be changes. When these things are required, so union and employees may project their resistance. Why they are not ready to challenge these changes? They are not afraid. They are fair enough to to cope up these situations. So that's why that time you require to give them confidence. I mean, the management, top management should give you some confidence to them. This is the purpose. This is the benefit will be there. What are the to be explained? So awareness to be developed. After the awareness, it may take 6 months, 1 year. Then slowly you have to try to adapt for this culture change. So conditions means if it is a very good conditions, even though it is a difficult, And if the condition is very bad, the organizational component, then again it is a. Uh, that's why when the company is very big, a lot of people are spread it geographically in different places, different culture states are there, diversity. So there's problems. It's very, very difficult to culture changes. Very, very difficult. When the company is very small and moderate number of employees, approachable communication is good, there is not much problem. And it is a good relation with the your employee-employer relations is very good. Union is also in a positive way. They are also helping mind for the management. So they are basically not much problem to change the your cultural change is not very much problem. Now, absence of subcultures. Some cultural creates a diversity within the dominant culture fabric, and as the subcultures drive the identity from the dominant cultures, they resist any changes therein. Hence, the presence of subcultures may preclude the possibilities of the culture changing the organizations, as I said little bit. Collide. Can cultures collide? Now here it is interesting thing. I think I was giving a little bit ideas before that. The merger, this aiming, merger and acquisitions. This unique organization identifies many collide in case of mergers and uh, acquisitions because there are different culture, two units, different culture of organizations are merging each other. That transactions are uh, very difficult to adapt financial target to meet the financial target. Sometimes the transactions are taken due to the cultural issues. Okay? So sometimes the company are not surviving. I mean, they feel we should club with the other companies, the joint hand, as joint venture, as a collaborative way, or franchises. There's so many ways are there. You can have a merger, the companies. So there it has seen that 30% of such transactions fail to meet the financial target due to cultural issues. They are not survived, even though they are merged. They are one company nowadays. They are productivity, but the cultural changes are not stable, or maybe it has what are the I cannot say the virus. Same cultural effects are both the companies are not tied up uh, the things. So that's why the employees are in different mind. The commitment is different. So that's why it will affect in the financial target also. So sometimes again demergers also happen because of these things. When the cultural changes are not successful, then so there is to 30% of such this way. So audit involves the identifying the strategies that can best provide a bridge between these differencing cultures and come together in merger activities. Two major strategies of the bicultural audit. So what it is required? Some consultant or some expert team should be there. They have already done that type of cultural changes process between the two companies. They have not enough knowledge. They can come forward and they can hire for this company, both the companies, so take their expertise and what the way they can change the cultures. They can give us the ideas, decision already they have given through this report, final report, by the survey after the surveying all these things. So assimilations. The first stage is assimilation occurs when the employees of the uh, acquired company willing embrace the culture of the acquiring company. There you see one of the companies acquired, another is acquiring. So there are two things. So their culture, willingly they have to embrace their cultures. they should respect to each other cultures, and slowly it will be one culture. Slowly it will make in a one culture. It is not a magic. It takes time to cultural. So, for example, if the in the marriage itself, sometimes it is a intercaste. I mean, different cultural, different languages, barrier, pride and growth. So it will take time to adjust everything. The different cultures, food habits, other the residuals is different. So same thing in the organizations also. It will take some time. So cultural acquisitions, adaptations are important. So pre-culturalizations. So assimilations can be an ideal strategy, but often not feasible as endpoints. So often resist the cultural changes. As a strategy, the deculturalizations is difficult as the employees actively resist the cultural instructions. Now integrations. The third strategy to merge the different cultures is integrations. The best features of these existing cultures are retained and the module into the new entity. So integration is very important. Uh, when the new entity is coming, how to adapt, how to adjust these cultures. So you have some module systems. So using this module, it is possible uh, and mold it into a new entity so that it should retain and easily mold. We can put in a one shape and basically the shaping the things. This strategy works best when the employees realize existing cultures and ineffective. So realizations and awareness is very much required before you implement any cultural changes. That it means some of the G's are coming from this here. So you have to have a careful about the approaches. It's a lot of preparations is required before change any organizations, cultures. Separations. So separation strategy occurs when in merger and acquisitions in transacting the companies agree to remain the separate with minimum exchange of culture or organizational practices. These strategies adopt when the companies are is unrelated industries or even in the different countries because the product they are merged but product is different. It is not required for transferring the employees wherever they are as and when they are geographically they are separated and um, not exactly related to the industries. Means some power industry, another is your some of the agriculture industry, something. So not exactly the same industries. So there may not be a cultural changes may not be very uh, needed, but exchange of culture or organizations practices. So that case, it can be remain the separate, so it not be affect very much. Financial systems by the companies are what are the profits they can share as per the agreement that can be merged or they can yes. But so that's why sometimes it is one of the area. This strategy is adopted when the companies are basically unrelated industries or even we can say the different countries because the different country setup is this. So there may not be very much required for the cultural changes. Let it be like this. A conflict. Now coming to the conflict. So conflict can be defined as a process that one party perceives that another party has a negatively affect or is about to negatively affect. So sometimes something that the first party cares about. So conflict basically it is unavoidable and it is by virtue of the human natures or sometimes this create. Not only the basic conflict source of not only the human, it may be the systems. The systems are create some of the problems where the human cannot work perfectly and conflict starts. So Duke 1999, he observed the conflicts could arise between the individuals or groups in organizations if the goals are not specified, and or we can say when the management shift blame on all of these units involve the work process, then conflict will start. Management is blaming to some of the things to the particular units, so it can create some of the conflicts. So conflict can also arise between the management and the union, as we have seen so many examples are there. Maruti is also affected a long time. So, or some of the owners, franchisees, and the headquarters. So, conflict is a very common phenomenon. It may, depending on the density, conflict will be there. In the global organizations, conflict can happen between the regional managers or the different divisions, between the divisions and the headquarters, owing to the complexity and international business. So, two predominant views of the conflict are traditionals and then the interactionist view. The traditional view is basically we know the conflict means jhagda ladai, negative. It's a negative assumption, basically. All forms of conflict are bad, detrimental to organizational effectiveness. And this approach treats conflict akin to violence and the distraction. So, conflict, this word as such, that sometimes traditionally is a mindset. Oh, conflict means no, it is a totally negative. Distractions. So, conflict is distractions. But other views are we have to see the interactionist views. There it takes more rational approach. There is a more rational approach to organizational conflict. It means maybe you can see sometimes conflict is welcome. I mean, it is required. Then a lot of views are coming up. From this conflict, you can get a good idea also. Yes and no. So adaptation, aggressions, ego can be reduced and right decisions. So sometimes it is required. It takes a more rational approach to the organizational conflict. And organizations without any avowed conflict can fall into the danger. Otherwise, you see, it can be maybe wrong decisions can be lead to the your bad condition. I mean, the revenue will be less. Lot of things like that. Non-responsive to change. So, conflict sometimes create your becoming responsive to the change also. So it is there are two views as given. Let's see the other things also. The sources. Now I have to see the why the conflict are there. What are the sources of the conflict? Reasons or other reasons, or what are the pitfalls of the conflict? Incompatibility. It is not compatible. Not compatible. One is incompatibility. The goals of the different departments and verticals reflect the specific objectives of the members are trying to achieve. Then another is limited resource. If your resource is very limited, so every time is hue and cry, sometimes you are not there, so it may create a conflict also. Task interdependence. Maybe the what are the roles as given, tasks as given, it is not in rational way. So or another thing is the material resources, that informations are not relevant sometimes, or maybe you are more and more dependent on the interdependency is there. So individually you cannot take decisions. So it will create things. So potential conflict are increasing. One-way task dependence. Suppose always you are waiting for the instructions, what your boss will say, you have to do it. So conflict increases mentionlessly when the one unit is unitarily dependent on the other. You have to wait some of the things when the decision will come. Then only you can start your work. So that's why always you are dependent. So this is a one-way dependencies sometimes they create. Communication is one of the biggest barrier, I think, I already the distortions basically. The frequently cited the source of the conflict is communication difficulties. So, horizontal communication is not without share of the difficulties. If this communication is not transparent, then different departments will know less about the work of their counterparts. So you should know when you are interacting with the finance or some of the things, the particular one project you are dealing, and what are the budget is there. So if you don't know, the production cells don't know the budget, what the budget. So they cannot plan the things accordingly. Okay, within this budget, yeah, what are these things? This is the raw material you have to purchase, and you have to project it for the particular money. So some communication gap is there, it's not interconnected all these things. So it's basically, so that's why the communication should be top down, vertical to the down communication should be there, so that it should be transparent and counterpart not is a, not aware of all these things. No, they should be aware of this. Counterpart should know what the what to be done. And horizontal differences, the greater the difference between units, the greater is the likelihood. If the units verticals in an organizations are highly differentiated, these things, then status incompetence, the conflict is often stimulated by the ignoring the perceptions of the different departments and the units, not being the given the requisite status of the organization. So this is all other sources of the conflict. The heterogeneity of the members in age is another important because the diversity is different age groups, so they are departmentally kind of encourage the organization is encouraged basically. The basis of the diversity are many, it's the age, genders, nationality, race, then your ethnicity, city, and the education, professionals, etc. are basics. But in the initial stages of a team, this identified the source of the many intergroup conflicts. These expressions, another is an important source that is associated with the status of the your cognizance, cognizance in the role of the dissatisfaction coming. This occurs when the individuals do not get the desired roles. Suppose I'm not getting, as per my qualification, I'm not getting this position or this task, this role. So maybe I'll be argumental, maybe I'll conflict with it because of the unhappy. So it can happen. Defective formalization because the formation is not good. Where is some defective is there. Behavior patterns are individuals are different. So it's not standardized the things. So that's why it is declared. Different rules and regulations, policies are systems. The decision making where the systems are not good. Maybe you are dependent on the. It is not streamline the employees who are authorized to take the decisions, not streamline. You don't know who is the taking the actual decision process. So on the administrative part or financial or any resource parts. So it is created confusion sometimes. The conflict resolution, some of the techniques are there. That is one of the subordinate goals. You have to, some of the things are subordinate goals are can be achieved only when the conflicting groups can come together and strive to achieve the common objectives. This is one of the remedies, I can say, resolutions. Reduce the interdependence. As we have seen, the interdependence is more than it will be problem. So you have to reduce the interdependence. So you have to create an independence. You have to create so that mutual interdependence and one of the things. So between the verticals or units should have created potential for intergroup conflict. So coordinations, positions help to reduce the enhance of your conflict. So conflict can be reduced. Then you are expanding the resources. So expanding the resources, basically the organizational conflicts often occur over the scarcity of the resources. The easiest and the often the ideal manner of the theory. The expansion as a conflict resolution techniques is you're extremely successful in that case. Mutual problem solving. This is one of the things when you are sitting together and practically approaching to resolve the problems mutually uh, in the problem solving process. The technique requires the conflicting groups and face-to-face discussion assumes responsibility can take and solution can be come out. So problem solving attempts to focus on the positives by highlighting the community commonly used health rules of the markets. Then as the appeal system, now we have to apply appeal to things. The former channels through this the grievance can also help redress the conflict. So grievance can solve the things and the proper and what are the applications that's coming for the things. So there's some remedial process required for the sound conflict resolution techniques. Wide evaluations criteria and some reward systems is the maximum conflict can be out of the defending the your perceptions of the reward systems are required so that more and more people can interact. So a group of people and asks an opinion about the reward systems. Then the diversity of the views will be immense. So this is the way. Then your formal and informal communication, as we know, you, both the things are required, but some formal communications, sometimes the communication distortions can create the conflict. Because if the communication is not good, it will give us some conflict. Ambiguous. Understanding is the message is not good. What are your way to represent the things? It's not, and the end user cannot understand the things. So there is no, even though there is no formal, so everything are important to create the good communications. Even the in the cafeteria area, some informal discussions going on. So that time maybe lot of things are confusions are coming up, and it leads to conflict. So there is informal way also you can understand. Hence, the communication manipulations to stimulate the conflict needs a very careful treatment. Heterogeneity and the diversity is another. Diversity is an important component. As we know, there are a lot of people are working in one place. Encouraging the diversity makes people feel valuable, and the organization respect their ideas. So we have to welcome that diversity, and it is very much needed in our India also. Most of the countries. So employees often feel threatened because different culture and different language barriers. So that create a conflict. Competition is another thing. Management can stimulate the conflict by the fostering the competition between the units. So this is the way you can fair deal can be there, and employees can be feel alive. So introduction of the productivity link bonus you can give us some this is some sort of bonus incentive plans are fair. Prestigious award. So all this way you can reduce the conflict. These all are the some of the remedies stimulate the things. Competitions, as I said. So I think so. This is the way I have covered up most of the blocks of the organizational theory and design. So here I can just recap the things which are the portions I have already discussed. That is your the process because sorry the organizational design and the meaning of the organizations and the purpose of the organizations and what are the factors are for the things. So okay, sorry. Yes. So concept of the culture. It's called we have to choose the culture. Why the culture is needed? What type of programs are there? And what type of design should be there? Cultural designs, situational factors. What are the situational factors are there, and how to? We have seen there are a lot of situational factors here, and cultural changes. Why it is required. If in the case of your merger also is important. What type of culture is required so that you can survive in the market and do the best job. Stable, some, and you have seen the organizational cycle also. where in the stage of, as I said, the your when you're the growth stage, growth phase, that time lot of decision making process, you have to forecast things, some strategy you have to take. It is the right time. After that, when it's in decline stages, so it may not be effective, more effective. So effective time, the phase is there, your growth phase, where you have to take the some of the decisions. Is it really required for the merger or not, or acquisitions, or some changes are required or not, retrenchment, whatever it is. So that decisions, or maybe the new launching of the new product or not. So all this. So until then another part is conflicts. Yeah, actually today the sessions I normally we have just forecast. I mean we have highlighted the one of the cultures. Another part is the conflict. There are two units that basically if I say the simple one word, there is a culture, and another is conflict. So I think you can understand the why it is important in the cultures and what are the stages. The communication transparency is also required so that you can have a reduce the your corruptions and as well as the as a group you can do it. Integrations will be more good, and there will be a lot of what are the differentiations? I mean, the differentiate that we can identify. And before the merger or acquisitions, we adaptively we have to see the audit first, see the both the cultures are meeting or not. So maybe the audit can give you some views, and yes, this is the right directions can go. Otherwise, it is a standalone. If the function is standalone, culture is not meeting each other's commitment. Then maybe the what are the commitment in the financially the target is there, that revenue cannot be achieved, or maybe uh, it's not successful mergers. So maybe it can maybe happen. It has also happened lot of cases. Demergings are started. Both the company now separated. Once they have joined, now they have separated. After they not continue or something. So this is the aspect that their question may come in this area sometimes. A lot of questions come. Particular merger and demerger and what type of culture is required. Conflict, what are the sources of the conflict, how to define the conflict, different varieties type of conflict, and what are the remedies for the conflict. That also you have to see the solution and techniques, different things. Now, the answering the any answering the questions, first you have to define the things, give instructions, defining things. After that, some of these subtitles that should be there, so characteristics, behavior, types, and all these things are discussed. And finally, you have to give us some examples. So you have to give us some examples. So this is the way you have to finish it up. Any questions, any assignment or so okay, I think now thanks things are up. So thank you very much. All the best. या शेखर है ना उसको असाइनमेंट और सब ठीक ठाक है। 2 दिन आज कल तो आपके इधर से कुछ प्रोग्राम हुआ था ना।